Okay, anyway, I'm glad for your interest, and most of the time I think should be devoted to your questions. Here's what I've got to say. It's very intensive in the first semester of the first year. There's a lot of writing. There are a lot of academic courses. You have to know what you're doing, otherwise you'll be really, really unhappy. Okay, Joey, do you like that idea? You're sort of smiling. Okay, good. It gets easier though, and what the program offers, as I'm sure you've heard about, is a professional education, so that the last two semesters, the last part of the second year, from January to June, is spent in an institution chosen by you with us, dependent on your interests, which we ask you about the very first day you arrive on the doorstep and develop with you throughout 2 years. And something that I think really makes the program the exceptional program that it is. So in terms of courses, you've probably seen it on the site, 4 courses the first semester, the second semester, an internship, which takes place over the summer, chosen by you, that follows your interest. 4 courses in the second year, and then off you go to a fabulous destination, either downtown Toronto, Ottawa, Vancouver, any place in between, US or Europe. I think that that's the important highlights of the program. And I will leave it to Daniel to pick up on the administrative aspects, equally important as the academic, and then we'll just answer your questions.
Okay, thank you, Marta. Yeah, so I'm going to go through a little bit just quickly the admissions process and some of the requirements. So like Marta mentioned, it's a 2-year program, so you'll be with us for 2 years. Now, in terms of the admissions process, you can find, I'll post some of the links on the chat in a little bit, but you can find all of the admission requirements online. One of the first ones would be the academic requirement, which is a bachelor degree, 4-year equivalent, and a minimum of a B GPA equivalent, right? Now, admissions usually reviews that for us and sort of sends the applications to us once that's been reviewed, but that's sort of like your first sort of step. The rest of the requirements tend to be the areas that we review, things like your statement of interest, your resume or CV, as well as your letters of recommendation. Now, all of these, and I'll talk a little bit more about them individually in a second, but all of these package has to be or should be submitted by January 18th, 2022, if you're looking to apply for the fall 22 start in the program. The program only has a fall start, so that will be the next admission cycle. If you miss that one, then the next one will be for fall 2023, just as information. In terms of the admission process, think of it as a 2-step process. You have to submit basically an application through the Ontario University's application center, the OUAC. Basically, that website just lets Ryerson know that you're interested in going to university, and then they let us, as Ryerson admissions, know that you're interested in going specifically into the F+PPCM program. Okay. Now, once we have the notification, that's step 1, basically. Once we have that, we'll send you an email, or rather admissions will send you an email saying, thank you for your application. Now you can upload your documents. So most of the documents in the admission requirements, statement of interest, resume, and letters, and the letters of recommendation are usually happen in the second step. And that's when you have to basically upload them via the Ryerson admissions portal. Now, why bring that up? Because if you're thinking of the deadline and you leave everything to the last minute, there's usually about 5-day time in between step 1 and step 2. So if you're thinking of the deadline January 18th and you want to make sure you meet that deadline, you want to make sure you apply more around the January 10th, January 13th, at least for the first step, and then you'll have enough time to submit the rest of the documents on time for the deadline. Now, the deadline is not a sort of like a end rock solid deadline in the sense that after that day, we will not review new applications. It just basically means that if you submit by the deadline, we will guarantee review your application and you'll be considered for any funding and awards that the program has. After the deadline, depending on the number of applications we receive and how many of them are successful, we may close the program maybe a week after, maybe a month after, maybe 6 months after. Again, it goes ongoing until we fill up all the spaces with successful candidates. Okay, so just keep that in mind in terms of deadlines. Also, scholarships and things like that. There's a couple of scholarships that we will review based on your admissions application, and they're fully automatic, but we can only review them if they're submitted by the deadline, because right after that we have to submit some of those scholarships for review. Okay. All right. So in terms of the admission requirements, I mean, and Mara, you can sort of help me out with some of these, but the statement of interest, probably the first one, and I mean, we basically just has a simple 500 statement word about basically a little bit about yourself in telling us, why you want to sort of pursue graduate studies, why you want to come to F+PPCM, how does your previous academic experience or your relevant work experience has prepared you to come here and do it, and maybe also a potential proposal for a project or an idea that you may want to research. It is not binding, which means that you can propose an idea in there and maybe change it and tweak it, and more than likely will change and develop throughout the time in the program. But it helps us, helps the committee know what you're about, what you're looking for, and also make sure that we as the program can support you in to achieve those goals. All right. And then the rest thing will be your resume and CV is pretty straightforward there. Any information about yourself that you think is relevant for us to know about you in the program, work you've done, experience, highlights of your academics, etc. So anything in there, you make sure you put in there. It will be more a CV than a resume, which means a CV can be 2, 3, 5, 17 pages long, depending how much work you've done. Feel free to include anything that you think is relevant. You don't have to sort of summarize it as a one-page template or anything like that. Feel free to put as much information in there, which will help the committee identify successful candidates. Okay. Letters of recommendation, we generally request 2 of them, and they usually is best if they're academic references, because you're coming to an academic program, and usually your previous professors or instructors will know you best in that area of expertise or in that area. Also, they're usually better at writing these letters because they've probably written 100 or 200 or 300 before. Okay, which basically means it's not just like a professional letter sometimes, and Mara, you can attest to this. Sometimes we just get letters saying, John Smith is great. And it stops there, right? So we want a little more than that. We want something like, why is John Smith great? What are the experiences? What are the examples? Give more information. It could be either from like say previous instructor, maybe from a class, or how you were amazing in that particular class, all those different things. So if you do speak to your referees, make sure you give them as much time as possible. Don't just let them know in a week in advance and, oh, I need this by Friday, because then, they won't have enough time to write a proper letter. So if you're planning to submit your application in January, let them know now so that they have enough time to write the letter. Give them your CV, your resume, maybe your application. As much information as you can give them will probably help them write a better letter. And a better letter means better chances for you guys to get accepted into the program. All right. So those are the 3 main components in terms of the application. One more thing about the letters of recommendation is when you do step 1 of applying, you do need to have the names and contact information of your referees, because you'll need to enter that in the system in step 1. And then what's going to happen once Ryerson gets the email with your indicating that you want to apply to the program, Ryerson at the same time will send your referees an email where they submit the letters of recommendation. So they don't have to send them to you and you upload them. They submit them directly via the email that Ryerson sends them. So it's also important to follow up with them. So maybe about 5-6 days after you get your email from Ryerson saying your application is you can start submitting documents, follow up with them to make sure they got the email and make sure it didn't go into the spam box or something like that. Because if they don't submit the letters of reference, we don't get to see the applications. They basically get stuck in the system until they're complete, and we don't see them. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of ways for us to actually find out if there's any incomplete applications just sitting there. So it's very important that you guys make sure you follow up with them. Marta, you had a
Everybody follow all that?
Sorry, they're fairly quick.
Hi, Darcy. Yeah, let me just much more slowly and languidly. That was all the information.
Just quickly.
Let me just, no, I want to talk about the statement of interest because, or actually just touch on all those items. In your CV, can you please make sure that you mention any possible awards that you've done, any possible volunteering that you've done? What we're looking for, quite frankly, is that you will fit with the program, right? That you will do well in the program. That's what we want to know. So in your statement of interest, please don't start with either of these two sentences. I have watched movies since I was a child, or the first time I became interested in photographs was when I saw the old pictures in my grandmother's shoebox, okay? Neither of those works. You have to find something that is personal, no question, and describes your interest, but moves us into an understanding of what you can do, all right? Okay, so, and I'm happy to answer questions about that. Any volunteer work that you have undertaken with any kind of institution that has archives or collections is very, very valuable because that demonstrates to us the interest, okay? So I guess what I'm saying quite simply is we want to know your interest and we want to know that it fits with the program. So show us that. Don't just tell us about it, okay? Show us that. The letters of reference, this is the thing that I absolutely loathe because I always feel that I'm not going to be able to clearly give the strengths of the student I'm writing for. It makes me feel so totally inadequate. So please, in a subtle way, ask your referees if they need you to outline your achievements and make it easier for them, okay? Most professors are really asked to write a lot of reference letters, and it's not, as Daniel said, it's not an easy thing to do. So if you can subtly help them, that's always appreciated rather than just saying, write me a letter of reference. Okay, oh, and the last thing was the first thing that Daniel started with, the deadline. The deadline you can apply, as he said, whenever you like, but the money is at the beginning, okay? We have a certain sum that we are allowed to give that comes from the university. So if the strong applications come in and meet the deadline, that's where it goes. If you're really late, and there are always occasions when people have to be really late, there's less there to distribute. Okay, I wanted to emphasize that because we do have a deadline and we do have rolling admissions, okay? Because we want to get the best people and we want to get a good class together. So I hope that explains it. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, I'm sure you have a million questions. Shall we start with questions?
Let's start with questions. Guys,
Okay.
feel free to unmute yourself if you ask a question or add it to the chat, either or works. And don't be shy, it's the best time to ask. There's a lot of other stuff I'm sure that we can help you with.
Yeah, well, actually, I'll start with a question. Are you all in Canada? No, okay. No, okay. Melika, is that right? Yeah. Where are you?
Iran. It's actually 3 a.m. here, sorry.
Oh my God, you look so awake. Oh, well, young. And Alma, where are you?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, well, welcome from Iran, welcome from Brooklyn. Anyone else out of the country? Wave at me now, okay.
I saw Brazil in the chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from Brazil.
Oh, sorry, chat. You know, it's a little much for old people like me to look at pictures and reach out. Okay, Italy. Where's Michelle in Italy? She's another person with her camera. Okay, where in Italy are you? My hometown. in Florence. Oh, that's nice. Okay, and Beijing. That's wonderful. Okay, so that's a lot of, that's great. What time is it in Beijing? It's 13 hours later, right? So 6 a.m., 7 a.m.? I'm afraid to ask. And it's midnight in Florence, I know that. Okay, Malika, if you are, what I would like to do, because you're in Iran and we have one Iranian student at the moment and others, if you want to pursue an admission, I want to put you in touch with them so that you can understand what's involved in international students. Same thing with you, Alma, okay? We want to put you in touch with an American student, if you're American. It's about being an international student, okay?
Thank you, that would be great.
Okay, yeah. We said 7:20 a.m. Okay, and Michelle, are you living in Italy or are you just traveling there for the moment? Because I'm discerning that your name isn't very Italian. Living, okay, great. So also American. Okay, so international students, you present a special case for admissions and you need to know the ramifications, especially about no money. That's really about high tuition rates, which we're trying to break down, and no money. So get in touch with me so I can put you in touch with current international students who can present you with the challenges that you have to face, okay? Oh, so that was my question. Now, sorry. Just taking up all the air. Okay, so what questions do you have? Malika.
Okay, I'm a little bit shy. And it's
That's okay, and it's also 3 a.m.
questions. Yeah, so it's better if like the others people ask their questions and then I'll ask mine.
Okay, I just,
That's
what are we
okay.
waiting for? A hand up, Daniel? Is that what?
Alma is raising her hand, yeah.
Alma has her hand up. Okay, good. Go ahead, Alma.
I was wondering if you could speak a little, and I guess this jumps off of the international component to that placement within an institution. I know you mentioned that can be in the US, that can be overseas. And I was just wondering if you could like speak a little bit more to the placement process and what that's like.
So the important thing that I told you was that the day you arrive in September, that's when we say, well, what are you interested in? Alma, I have to ask you, are you thinking of the film stream or the still stream, photo?
Film.
Okay, so what period of film, what kind of film, or let's go into audiovisual material are you interested in working with? And then we focus on that right from the very beginning of the year. Then we talk through a series of meetings starting in November of the first year, and then again in February of the first year, about what kind of institutions could satisfy that interest of yours. Okay, so do you want me to name some institutions? For example, horror film and genre and VHS, and VHS as a preservation method was the work of one of our students who went to the American Genre Film Archive in Austin, Texas. I'm trying to think, the American Anthology Film Archives in New York was the choice of one of our students who was working on performance artists, Carolee Schneeman, and one of her associates. So that was essentially video. One of our students went to do work, both video and film, on dance at the New York Public Library of the Performing Arts. So that's, I'm thinking American institutions if you're interested in that. Otherwise, there are a number of institutions here in which you would take actually a curation class in programming film at the Canadian Film Development Center here in Toronto. There's library and archives in Ottawa. I mean, there's a number. We have students at iMuseum in Amsterdam. All of this, I have to say, before the pandemic, this year, the going is quite tough. We've got somebody going to Athens, and we've got about three residencies here in Toronto and one in Vancouver. It was much more, when things were much more open, of course, it was much easier. Does that answer your question? So yeah. One last thing I would say, if you're interested in an institution and it's not on our list of partnerships, that's fine, that's exciting. So we go out and see if they like you, if they accept you, if they like the project, and then we work with that institution and we add them to our list. Another feather in our cap. I see the deferrals, and I think are there deferrals, Daniel? No.
No deferrals in the program, no. So you get accepted to, let's say, fall 2022. You come into the program, great. If you decide not to come, then you'll have to apply again, go through the admissions process again the next time you decide to come in. So no deferrals.
However, I think if you come in the following year after accepting and then not, I think if you said I was accepted last year, that's always a positive thing, but there are no formal deferrals. How many people are accepted in the program? About 16, 8 film, 8 photo. That's about right?
That's average we've been getting the last couple of years, yeah. Yeah.
We have a target that's set by the university for domestic students, and then we take international students on top of that. That help, Joey? Okay. That's it, I can have dinner? Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Amar, you have your hand raised.
I'm a Ryerson student right now. I'm I'm enrolled in the photo program. And my question would be, is there better odds for Ryerson students or students that graduated from the photo program to enroll in this program?
Is there better what?
Odds?
No, we try half and half.
Okay, yeah.
In terms of acceptances? No. We had a majority of photo students because we only added the film stream in 2014. But now we are, trying to get half and half. But you know what? It's a good question because it really doesn't matter. It matters on the quality of you, the student, your interest, your academic capabilities. So it's entirely possible that we have of 16 or 17 students, 12 that are photo or 12 that are film. It doesn't matter. Because, let me just follow along in this thought, because you take stream specific courses. I mentioned film curation. The still students take a photo exhibition class. Photo students take photo collections, photo history. Film students take film collections, film history. But there are also common courses, all right? Cataloging is one of them. Digital collections is another one, and digital preservation is another one. I think there's others, but they're slipping my mind. So we're not going, ideally we'd like to have half film and half photo, but more important than that is the quality of the students that we admit. Would you agree to that, Daniel?
Yeah, I think so. And we've had a variety of backgrounds from students too, like not just photo or film programs, right? We have some people from history, from
that's another
English,
problem.
A variety of things, yeah.
There's, for example, a person like Jordy who's in a studio program, and I don't know how many of you are in a studio program. And I know you have a question, Jordy, but you know me, I'll just keep going on for a second. We also have people who are coming in from art history, classics, mathematics we've had, and have a much more academic undergraduate degree. So we have BAs and BFAs coming in the same room, and those people have to be equal by the end of the first year. Makes it, I would say, slightly harder for studio-based people because of the writing. Jordy, what were you going to ask?
So I was going to ask kind of about, like, once we get into the field and the actual work we're doing, how critically we get to engage with the content of the image. Kind of the question is like whether it's more looking at the images and thinking about them, or because it's called the preservation program, kind of like the way I think of it, dusting negatives. So like just how critical and like how much we can think about it, you know?
Yeah, you're going to be dusting a lot of negatives. So
that's what I thought.
Does that turn you off? Okay, so it's not a photo studies program. I know Jordy, by the way, and so I know he's in the still stream. So it's not a film studies or photo studies. It's preservation and collections management. So you're engaging with the objects and the materiality of those objects. So in fact, the history courses aren't like that second year undergraduate history at all. It's a historiography course. It's the construction of the narrative of film history, or the construction of the narrative. How are these photographs important? What are the other possibilities? What is the classical history? What are the opposing histories? More time is spent in, as you say, dusting negatives, engaging with historical processes, condition reports, the equipment that's used, and all of the experience that you need to go out into an institution and actually be able to carry out tasks that you're assigned there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I like the dusting negative.
Yeah.
That's great. That's it. Oh, good.
Go ahead, Sarah.
So this might not be a great question, but I just thought I'd ask, when looking at like the film side of this program, are there common like career path avenues you see graduates go down afterwards? And if so, like what are some of the things that you see the graduates of this program go into?
I would think that's like among the most critical questions. Why do you say it's like, what are you going to do after this?
Yeah.
Yes, there are many career paths. Our film students are, well, gosh, I could actually send you, I don't know if it's updated or not. Okay, where are our film students at the moment? One of them is, again, working in Texas in a public archive, but it's a small community archive. One of them is working at the AGO, working with audiovisual materials rather than film, tape, VHS, other tape. David Emery remained in Europe, and I think he's working in a German archive. Sorry, you sort of caught me off guard, but I can certainly think about, recent, thank you. Hey, there's something that you can look at. Wow, I have no idea. I haven't seen that, but that's good. And there's a lot of them in Toronto. Did I mention the CFMDC? We've got a student working there. We've got a student working at VTape. And we have a student working in the CBC archives. In fact, two. There's a student who has a job at LAC. That's Eveline. Okay, I can come up with more, but you have to give me time. There's, it's only been 20 years of students, but rightly only film students since 2014, so they should be uppermost on my mind, and I apologize. I'll think of them.
Go ahead, Sangpil, you have a question?
Yes. I was wondering how much of the syllabus or the general program was affected by the pandemic, just because I know many aspects of the program is hands-on rather than just pure academic learning. So yeah, that's my question.
See these white hairs? Yeah, well, it's interesting. In May 2020, we created a document that showed that if we took over the space where some of our offices are on campus, we could have in-person classes. The reason for that was, this is before vaccines, we had floor-to-ceiling windows that could be open for the whole of the fall semester. We had a single entrance and exit, and we had 2 toilets at the end of the space. So we moved all of our classes into that room. I taught 2 courses there, and the students asked if they could be put online because they essentially said to me, you know, these are discussions and lectures and seminars. We don't have to be here. But the hands-on courses were taught hands-on. There were 3 and then 2 students who couldn't get out of the country. And so there were cameras set up. And I think in one case, the photographic preservation, there was a system like a conference call set up so that the photo students, and I think one was in China, could participate. The film students also had Rebecca Gordon, who was in the States, yeah. So they also had these students outside the classroom, but for the other part, they were in person. It was horrible. And it had the greatest impact in the core of the program, which is the internship and the residency, which are in, and they were all closed. So that's a very long story, but in one case for film, we had the films actually transported to that site that we controlled, and the work of inspection and condition reporting and organization and the program was done all there in person. So it was really awful, but you know, like everybody else, we got through it.
Made it work, and just as a note, I mean, in terms of at that time, that was the program with basically the most in-person classes of all of the university.
I think it was the only one.
We were basically having almost 80% of our classes were in person, even during that situation. So,
and nobody got sick.
No, just followed safety protocols, and everything was fine. And you know, made the best out of a worse situation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But the students were miserable, and so were we. You know, I mean, like everywhere else in the world. I don't think there's an upside. I don't know, the rest of you want to describe what you went through, but I don't think there's an upside to any of it. Darcy, Jordy, what did you do? What happened over there across the school?
For the photo program?
Yeah.
We went pretty much all, well, no, we went all online, and kind of instead of being able to take out gear, we had to make the best with what we had. So people like did some interesting things, but you could tell that everyone was kind of like scraping by.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any, absolutely, can you have my email, so write to me and I'll connect you. You have to tell me, like, you know, what stream you're interested in, and what specifically, what kind of student you would talk, you know, you want to talk to, but sure, that's easy. And in fact, the students are usually grateful to talk to potentially incoming students, so that's not a problem.
I'm going to put your email, Marta, right now in the chat, and I'll put mine as well, in case anybody has any questions after.
Yeah. So if you want me to, put you in touch, I will. Thank you, Daniel.
I'll get in touch. Thank you so much, Marta.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Where are you?
I'm in Vancouver.
Oh. And are you interested in film or stills?
Stills.
Oh, I got good projects for you, but they're in Vancouver, UBC, special collection.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm also, if you know, as I said, we begin with your interests and focusing on those interests at the very beginning. But if you're at all interested in seeing what the outcome is in terms of a thesis project, I'm happy to connect you. They're all in the library and online, so you can see there what's expected of you too. Because being in an institution where you're doing professional work is also, is only half of that second year residency. The other half is creating a project, a practical project, or writing an academic paper on a subject that's in the collection of the institution you've chosen. So yeah, go ahead.
I actually just wanted to follow up with another question. I have asked this question to you in the past through email a few years ago, but just because Jordy was kind of mentioning whether the program is all about dusting films or actually kind of engaging in some kind of critical discourse, but also what you just mentioned somewhat contradicts what Jordy was saying, because I was curious about how much of it is kind of a curatorial kind of engagement in the program versus like actual hands-on technical skills, but it seems to be half and half. That last time you answered that question that way.
Yeah, well, I would say that it's all in pieces. If you're interested in curation primarily, it's not the program for you.
That's good, because I'm not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But some students are, and they find themselves in, you know, they want to be curators. If you want to be a curator in stills, you need a PhD these days to be competitive, okay? And that PhD is that's not what we're doing. So there is an exhibitions course where, but you don't, it's not just about curating, it's called exhibitions and publications. It's also about dusting the pictures, framing them, housing them, getting them, understanding them, and contributing to a publication about them, okay? In the film stream, it's much more about programming. And for those of you who are interested in film preservation programs, you may or may not know that most of the programs, such as East Anglia, UCLA, if they're still going, and Amsterdam, they focus mostly on programming and presentation. That's the usual MA in film preservation. So we don't do as much of that in film as other institutions. In fact, we only have the one course. And yes, it is hands-on, it's practical. The critical discourse aspect comes in, I'm going to say, 2 courses. And I would say the rest of them are more of collections management courses, cataloging, as I said, registration, different ways of organizing both analog and digital materials. So I'm not changing my tune too much, I hope, from what I said when I
No, definitely not. It seems like it's what I'm looking for so far, what I'm hearing. So
good.
Yeah. Thank you, Marta.
My pleasure. Grace, sorry.
Hi, I was just wondering, would you recommend doing an internship or volunteer work with a library or archive before applying for the program?
Well, yeah, but you've got between now and January the 18th, not a lot of time.
I'm a 3rd-year student. I'm looking in advance.
Oh, okay. Yes, definitely. Again, for the simple reason, Grace, that it demonstrates an interest.
Okay.
Okay, and it reaches out. Where are you?
I'm in Waterloo, Ontario.
Oh, great. Okay. So, and there are good places there.
Yes.
So, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That's always compelling to us that a student has volunteered in some way or another. And in some cases, actually, we find that that's the way the student first found out about the program and found out that they were interested in archival materials and work of that nature. Joey, where are you?
I'm in Toronto.
Okay, good. And Brittany? I'm just talking to the faces I see.
I'm in Canmore, Alberta.
Wow. Very beautiful.
Yes.
Okay. Darcy, are you the Darcy I know? I think so. Yeah. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
You're kind of far away, but I recognize the name. Anything else? There are no stupid questions, okay? So as you're thinking, think out loud.
I have a question.
Sure.
Well, coming from a background that we do not write SOPs for, sorry, statements of purpose or anything like that for going to a university. We normally set a like exam or something, or we have an interview. So like this part of the application process is a little bit hard for me. So the question is, what exactly are you searching for? What questions should be answered in the statement?
That's a good question too. And I can see how it's difficult. Are you coming from a studio background?
I have a bachelor's in photography.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So the question is why you want to move from being an artist to taking care of the objects that you have previously been immersed in making. So why do you want to do this? What interests you?
Oh, this is a question that...
What interests you? Do you know what the program is? Will you? Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to make this. It's not a tautology, but it's like what has shifted? What has shifted your interest? And have you the capability to do the academic work? So it's like an exam. Only you're
telling it.
Yeah, there's only the one question that you have to answer on this exam, okay? And it's only a page.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. That's why Daniel also said this interesting thing about a project. In other words, I'm telling you now that you're going to be doing both an internship and a residency and a thesis project. So tell me what kind of thing you might be interested. And by the way, everybody, usually on the first day, we always have students who say, oh, I don't know what I'm interested. I have no specific focus. I just know that this is the work that I want to be in, and that's okay too. But in your case, what brought you away from the work as an artist and brings you to work in a potential archive or library or museum? And what kind of work do you see yourself doing with your thesis project or when you're working in a collecting institution in your second year? Is that helpful?
Yeah, really. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good. Any other good questions? That was good. Okay, goodbye, man. Thank you. She's gone. How does the BIPOC scholarship work? I haven't the faintest idea because we started it last year and I don't know, you have to identify as BIPOC, right? And there's a committee. I wasn't on it because it was instituted by a colleague of mine who's really wonderful, and he put the committee together. So Daniel, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, basically we will reopen applications. Right now they're closed there. Actually on the admission requirements link that I just put in the chat, you can actually see the scholarship there. But basically we'll reopen that, I guess probably after the January 18 deadline, sometime probably, I guess probably February. Last year we had the deadline was not until May, so it'll be either April or May when you have to submit your application. But basically, yes, you have to self-identify as one of the BIPOC groups, so Black, Aboriginal, people of color group, and you self-identify, you submit that. It's basically two components in the application that you have to submit. It's a written statement, basically another 500 words, outlining how the award would sort of help you, how it would help you complete your studies, your career, how it will help you manage the actual, going into the program. And there's also a student budget form, which is provided in the website. So those are the two main components you have to do. And you basically submit that to us, and then the committee will review it. The award itself is basically a scholarship / mentorship program. So the scholarship value is $22,000 per year. You usually get $22,000 divided into 3 payments, one in the fall, one in the winter, one in the spring. And then the mentorship, the program will try to connect you with a mentor based on, I guess, your research, your project experience, to help you go through the program, but also get you connected and get some networking experiences with that. And yeah, so all you have to really do is once you see the applications, you'll probably get an email either from me or from the program email address once we reopen them. This will go out to all of the students who apply. So if you self-identify, please make sure that you apply, submit your application, and then so we can consider and submit your to the review committee. Speaking of scholarships, most of the other ones, just to mention them quickly, there is the Ontario Graduate Scholarship, the Ryerson Graduate Scholarship, which are both $15,000. And those ones are the ones that we use your admission application to review. So make sure you see it by the deadline and you'll be automatically considered. However, I will put in a second another link on the chat that has basically the list of all the applications that the university sort of manages. So you'll be able to sort of go in there yourself and take a look at if there's any other scholarships that apply based on your background, based on your previous study, what year you're in, all that kind of stuff. So they're basically, that's probably the best list that we have overall that has all the scholarships from the university. Any other program scholarships, we will sort of send you an email and let you know once they open for submission. But I'll put the link in a second so you have it.
Anything else? Okay, so you have to start working if you continue to be interested on your letter of interest, and you have to contact your referees. Be very nice to them. Say, I would like to help you as much as I can. Can I sketch the letter for you? I always say that. Can you sketch the letter for me? Especially if there's somebody who is teaching, 60 students in a pandemic. So try and be as helpful as possible. Oh, it says I'm going to run out of juice. Just a moment. I have to plug myself in. Otherwise, I'm going to be out of here faster than I thought. Okay. So I would stress that. It's really a quite an onerous task to apply, and should be done in increments if you can do it. Do I hear a better offer? Do I hear? Okay. Daniel, any parting words?
Thank you very much for coming, guys. We hope to see your applications and hope to see you on campus in fall 2022. If you do have any questions, by all means, just contact us, reach out. We're happy to answer anything. I know sometimes during the presentations, things sort of skip your mind, and then later on you'll remember, oh, I wish I could ask that. So please.
Yeah,
please
I mean, you have our emails. Okay, so yeah, be in touch, and if you want to be put in touch with students, that's always a good thing. If we weren't doing this online, we were physically there would be a student right there to talk to you. But we can do that. We can manage that. Okay. I'm going to go and have dinner.
Thank you.
Bye.
The Creative School.